I bought a couple of outdoor Christmas lights on Boxing Day last year, but I never got around to putting them up. Now that Christmas is just over a week away, I realized that if I didn't use them this year, what was the point of buying them? So the other day, I finally decided to put them up without any decorations. Our house looked a little gloomy compared to the neighbors. The snow was falling, and removing the trees tie holding the lights together with gloves on was definitely challenging. It was my first time putting up outdoor Christmas lights, so I struggled a bit and wasn't sure how or where to start. With minimal structures in my front yard and only a few plants, mostly pots with dead petunias from summer, the only ones actually planted in the ground were a few small hydrangeas along the side of the garage. Hopefully, by next summer, I'll be able to spruce up the front yard, add more plants, and maybe even plant a tree to hang Christmas lights on. Fingers crossed! I began with a foot tall hydrangea. The electrical wire wasn't straightened. It was only stretched out a bit to give the bulbs about 6 inches of space, thinking it would create a bushier and more vibrant effect. Next was a taller, more mature hydrangea, but I was disappointed to see it had gotten shorter. Something had chewed off its tips. It couldn't have been rabbits. They can't reach that high. The culprit was obvious: deer. Sadly, this hydrangea blooms on old wood, so the deer ruined its chance to flower next summer. In the center of the garden, there was a small plant about a foot tall, so I decided to use a trellis I had lying around. It's about 2.5 to 3 feet high. I placed it in the middle of the garden to add some height and create a focal point. As I wrapped the lights around the trellis, I reached the end of the wire and realized the second set of lights wouldn't be enough to cover the largest hydrangea and provide enough light. So I decided to start over and redo everything. I rearranged the wire and straightened it to maximize its length and cover more areas. While rearranging everything, I took a moment to figure out how to tackle the trellis. My plan was to outline the trellis with the lights to match its three-leaf design, but managing the bulbs turned out to be harder than I thought. I used the two twist ties that originally came with the lights to secure a few bulbs, hoping the rest would stay in place. Unfortunately, that was just wishful thinking. The bulbs ended up going wherever the wires wanted. I redid the trellis 3 times before I was satisfied. Even with twist ties, keeping the bulbs in place was tricky. On my third attempt, I grabbed a roll of green twist ties and secured every bulb on the trellis. By then, my fingers were numb from the cold, making the task slow and clumsy. What I thought would be a quick, simple job had turned out into a frustrating ordeal. Securing each bulb took quite a while, as the snow kept falling steadily with no sign of stopping and darkness was setting in. I turned on the outside light to see better. After spending more than an hour working on the trellis lights, I finally moved on to another hydrangea. This one had suffered the same fate as the others, with some tips chewed off by deer. The deer seemed determined to stop these plants from blooming. But this hydrangea might still have a chance. Some branches were left untouched. The snow kept falling, and I was starting to feel the cold. After spending hours working on the lights, I was glad to finally get to the last hydrangea. It wasn't as bushy as I had hoped, but it still had enough branches to hang the bulbs. When I was done, the plug ended up exactly where I wanted it, right next to the electrical socket. The lights were plugged in, and every single bulb lit up. I felt so happy and relieved to finally have this task completed. With the outer Christmas lights glowing, I stepped back a few feet to see how everything looked. They weren't exactly as perfect as I had imagined, but they weren't bad either, especially since I didn't have many structures to work with. Still, I'm proud of finishing this project. I finally have the Christmas lights I have wanted for years. If everything goes as planned next summer, I hope to work on my front yard garden, plant more flowers and bushes, and maybe a nice deer resistant tree to hang Christmas lights on. The fresh, untouched snow blanketing the neighborhood created a calm and peaceful atmosphere, a stark contrast to the noisy malls of December, just weeks before Christmas. My husband bought a couple of lighted trees and we set them up a few days after I finished putting up the Christmas lights. The trees were about 4 feet tall with sparse branches that looked a little scraggly. We placed them in planters near the front steps, with one a step lower than the other for a nice staggered look. To keep the trees steady, we cleared the snow from the planters so they wouldn't fall over in a strong wind. As I cleared the snow from the planter, I realized I hadn't removed the petunias and licorice plants, which were now wilted and frozen. This ended up making quite a mess while I was cleaning up.
You have to unwrap it. Put this in here. Unwrap the wire.
While my husband went to get a hammer to secure the trees, I worked on scraping the ice off the stair landing. Since the soil in the planter was frozen solid, we had to use a hammer to push the stakes in and secure the trees. I was replacing the old doormat at our front door with a new one because the old one was worn out and full of holes. Since both trees were secured and anchored, I piled snow around their bases for two reasons: to cover the tree bases and add extra weight to make them more stable. The electrical cord that came in with the trees is too short to reach the outlet, so we need to get an outdoor extension cord. This cord will connect to the Christmas lights, which are already plugged into a timer. Once the trees are plugged in with the lights, they will light up and brighten the front door. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps me grow and reach more people. Your comments mean a lot and help boost my videos through the algorithm. Subscribing, liking, sharing, and commenting are all great ways to support and improve this channel. I truly appreciate your help and support. While you're here, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day and Merry Christmas!